Hey guys, welcome back to Seduce Me to the Ultimate, and wow, that is a very red thing. We're going to be playing the next part of Erik's route. Let's do this. Thank you.
Hey, Rabbit, you both should finish your preparations and head over to the Demon Lord's castle for the spell.
How are you going to get there?
I'll get us there, no problem.
Just make sure we don't get stuck there or lost.
No promises.
Sarah, make sure the job is done.
I shall, my lady.
Sarah, Faye, and Rabbit began to make their way out the room as Diana turned to me and my group. As they left, Diana let out a small sigh.
I will take you to some rooms you may rest in.
Sweet. I felt insanely nervous. The entire situation was beyond my imagination. Stuck in the demon world under two types of enchantments? That was unreal even for me. Still, we were going to work towards finishing this war and getting me home. We had to do everything we can to keep our focus straight. As Erik and I were escorted to our room, I felt the need to cling to Erik's arm. It had only been a day since I had been taken away from the human world, but for the longest time I had to be enthralled to get close to him. Now I was freely and willingly able to hold onto Erik's arm without flipping out. Hug him tightly, of course. Don't let him go.
I wanted to walk down the aisle with you as your husband. I was so worried when you didn't show up to the ceremony.
My heart sank as I looked down. I hadn't wanted to leave him at the altar, but the Demon Lord had other plans, you know? I was just taken I was taking hell.
I know it wasn't your doing, love. Don't be upset. You weren't gone long.
Not gone long. I had been in the Abyssal Plains for a full day. How was that not long? Then he explained that I've only been gone
Around
for
5
5 hours because of time difference.
Well, your father was demanding that Sam open a missing persons investigation since he's a police officer. Luckily, James was able to calm everyone down, and with Irides's energy, he blocked everyone's memory and told them to return home and the real wedding would begin later.
James can do that?
Only with his wife's help. That gave us time to try to locate you. When we did, we all decided to come through to get you back.
I could only imagine what it had been like, all of them huddled in a room trying to find me. I felt a little flattered, but I knew that it was because they all cared about me, the wives included. They're not included. I was happy that they did, and I was back with Erik at last. Our walk continued until I entered my old room with Erik. Our guide left us alone, needing to prep for the rest of the day. Erik sat on the bed, ushering me to sit beside him. Like a magnet, I was drawn to him, sitting beside him. It was a major relief for my mind to know that everything was going to be taken care of. It was an even larger relief to know that I could be with the man I loved in the meantime. I laid my hand on Erik's shoulder as he wrapped an arm around me.
Are you really okay?
Yeah. Sure.
Well, at least you were no longer disgusted by me.
Look, you don't have to put it that way, okay? I was never disgusted by you. Erik nodded once again before hugging me softly to him, laying us back across the bed. I wrapped my arms unconsciously around him, listening to the rhythm of his breathing. It was slow and relaxed, which made me feel at peace.
We'll get to go home soon.
Sweet. I closed my eyes, letting our embrace slowly entice me to sleep. It didn't bother me that I was dressed and my boots still on. It was such a peaceful transition. I barely felt a shift between me being awake and being asleep. Of course, though, this is Seduce Me too, which means that every time I sleep I'm gonna have a nightmare, except for in Damien's route. But, here we go. Here's a nightmare. I held Erik close to me, listening to his heartbeat. The simple syncopation of it filled my own heart with such joy that I could not deny the smile on my face from stretching further. Whatever held me for so long no longer had my hold of my mind and my body, allowing my heart to once again guide my actions. As I slept, however, a voice I had not heard in a while reappeared.
Why? Why did you do that?
Oh, that's creepy. Within the darkness of my dreams appeared a familiar purple orb, floating in the vast space. I once again felt charmed by it, but I was more confused as to why it was in my dream and why it asked me such a question.
Why would you do that?
Do what? What are you doing here?
I don't understand.
This is my dream, orb.
I don't understand why you like him.
Erik? My boo? You're the one that made me disgusted by him?
He's icky. He's an icky man.
Well, you're not even a thing.
Loving a person doesn't make them less icky.
What's so icky about him?
He talks funny. He keeps touching you. He has those
sex eyes?
Yeah! He is so icky! Icky!
I'm not as disgusting as you make me out to be,
Whoa.
Spirit.
Excuse me? In front of me appeared a reddish shadow which quickly formed itself to be Erik. The orb seemed to pulsate at the sight of him.
Icky man!
My name is Erik, and you are not welcome in my princess's
Erik's
dreams
in
or
my
her body.
dreams.
You're not either!
Erik! Erik looked at me and smiled before stepping forward, making the orb back away a bit. I couldn't tell if it was in fear or anger, but the pulsing energy around the orb seemed to become larger at Erik's stare.
My duty is to protect my princess from anything that threatens her. You, rogue spirit, are considered a threat.
All you do is touch her and take her energy.
That's not true.
What else does the icky man do?
He calls you princess, you know. That was wrong. Something was definitely wrong. Why couldn't I pin down more things Erik did for me? I held my hand shut my eyes, trying to focus hard on my thoughts. Erik, however, stepped towards the orb, a group of ethereal tendrils emerging from his back.
That's enough. You don't belong here, spirit.
I expected the spirit to fight back, but didn't say anything more. After a moment of silence, the spirit faded into the darkness of the dream. Erik and I both let out a small sigh of relief.
Are you okay?
I guess so.
I swear that I will keep you safe.
The words Erik spoke resounded in my chest, making me feel light and believe every word that escaped his lips. I felt safe enough just to hear his determination. Still, I couldn't help but feel a small restlessness in my body, despite being in a dream. I thought that sleeping would help my anxiousness in the situation I was in, but it only made me more worried. With this new fear in my mind, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to hold out until we defeated the Demon Lord. A spirit was really actually haunting my thoughts. This was insane, to say the least. Still, the spirit was quelled for now, and at least we found a way to expel it from my body. I woke that morning before Erik, physically refreshed but mentally troubled. The event that ran through my dreams both bewildered and scared me. How long was the spirit going to be stuck to me? A knock interrupted my thoughts and woke Erik.
Who's there?
It's us. We brought food.
Can we come in?
Sure. The thought of food made me relax a bit and forget about the circumstances. The door opened to reveal the other incubi and their wives, holding plates of food. James and Iridessa, however, each carried 2 full plates, passing one to me and Erik.
Oh, thank you, James.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome.
You'll never guess who prepared it, though.
My mind went instantly to Matthew or James. They were usually the ones who made food when they still lived in my house. Still, it could have been Damien as well. But then my mind cycled to the rebel leaders and Diana. We were in their castle as their guests, so it would make sense if they made us food. Looking down my plate, I noticed a selection of food. Fruit slices, bread, cheese, and some form of meat jerky. It seemed native to the demon world, but it was indeed human food. Using process of elimination, I decided it was probably Diana.
How did you both sleep? Our rooms are on the opposite end of the hall, so we didn't know how you two were doing.
Did you two get to catch up?
Too lewd, Matthew.
Please, Matthew. They obviously did more than catch up. A bit of Twilight Tango? Sensual salsa? I bet he dipped right in.
Too lewd. Erik and I looked at each other, ignoring Norin's innuendo as we thought of the seriousness of the situation. Did we want to tell them what was going on? Let's explain.
What did you find out?
Wait, you're not saying that...
Hey, are you pregnant?
What? Excuse me? I quickly turned my head to see Erik covering his mouth and coughing almost violently, most likely trying not to suffocate on the food in his mouth. He quickly swallowed his food and smiled painfully at the group.
No. She is not pregnant.
Right? Erik was right. This was a whole different matter. For a second, I worried what Erik thought about the question, but more importantly, we needed to let the group know what was going on.
Is having a child that bad?
What? The room around me seemed to freeze as the spirit's voice appeared in the air. I looked around and noticed that everyone, including Erik, was still. What?
The icky man doesn't think so.
What do you mean? In the middle of the room, the spirit appeared, making me gasp. It floated over to Erik and spun around his head, making him light up slightly.
Well, if she were pregnant, I'd be able to expand my legacy.
Erik? Was that what he was really thinking? No, this was a trick. You're lying to me. Whatever you're trying to do won't work.
I'm not doing anything. Just look at him.
I did, wanting to prove the spirit wrong. However, my eyes couldn't lie to me. He had a nervous, almost pondering smile on his face as if he was keeping quiet about his thoughts. Were the thought I heard really Eric's?
He's an icky man.
Would you stop saying that?
It's true. He wants to make babies with you. You heard so yourself.
I don't entirely mind. Expand his legacy? Who says that? Then again, the look on his face couldn't lie to me. The more I gazed into his eyes, the more I could see before my disappointment. Was I overthinking it?
He keeps touching you and trying to make you feel good. He wants to make you have his babies.
Wow, that is really interesting. So how long do you plan on sticking around?
Sticking around?
I mean, being in my body.
Oh. I don't know.
I didn't know. I wanted to stand up, but I felt my body stay in its place. I guess in whatever phase the spirit had me in, I could only shift my head, but not move my spot. You don't know?
I don't know.
How do you not?
I just don't. I tried, but I can't get out.
This was proving to be useless. As childlike and innocent sounding the spirit was, this conversation was obviously going to go nowhere.
I was trapped when I died too, you know?
What? As the world began to move around again, the orb vanished without a trace.
We have a different issue. My princess is being haunted by a spirit.
A spirit? But I can't hear its thoughts.
You can't catch everything, Damien.
That doesn't make sense. If a spirit's inside of her body, we would have sensed it.
That's the odd part. There's someone within her, but they are not powerful enough to be pinned down.
Oh no, I think I know where this is going. Yep.
Spirits of children are extremely versatile, miss. They're smaller and less noticeable than a regular spirit, but their emotions run just as high, if not higher,
the protagonist
making them more powerful.
Is pregnant.
So a child made you fight Erik?
Yes, it also called Erik the Icky Man.
Well, you were for a long time, dude. You can't deny that.
That was before I met my princess.
I looked at Erik as he looked down back to me. His eyes were full of love and appreciation, making a small blush run across my cheeks. He gently lifted his hand and caressed my cheek, making my face warm up at his touch.
You changed me for the better and turned me into a proper man. I would never wish for you to feel that I am disgusting.
Erik. As I kissed his cheek, Erik gasped, and I could feel a quick forming warmth appear on his cheek under my lips. I pulled away and noticed a red tint across his face, but a loving smile still plastered on his expression. Heh.
Should we leave? They look like they're ready to make those babies now. Ow!
Seriously? He is so lewd.
Knock it off, Matthew.
Before anyone could laugh, however, another knock appeared at the door. Who is it?
Diana, dear. May I come in?
As Diana entered, the room became silent. Her guard, Sarah, followed behind Diana and stepped into the room as well, closing the door for her. He remained by the door as Diana looked at my plate.
Did you not enjoy breakfast? I can make you something else if you'd like.
What? I quickly looked down at my plate, realizing I had barely touched the food. No, this is great. We were just talking about the spirit haunting me, and it's probably the spirit of my child or something like that.
I see.
Thank you for breakfast, by the way.
My pleasure. I'm sorry that it's not much, but it's something to fill the stomach.
It's all good. It's better than that stew that everyone else was eating.
We had stew?
Trust me, don't worry about it. You're not missing much.
Indeed. Anyways, I came by to ask you something, dear.
What?
What exactly is going on? What was controlling you last night when your husband came around?
Right. As I stared at Diana, I felt something inside me grow very happy. Why wouldn't I be? She was feeding us and making sure we were at least comfortable. Hell, she was going to break the curse on me and kill the demon lord. At least I hoped she would. Still, something felt odd about the way I felt. I shook my head and looked at Erik. He nodded and looked to Diana, causing her attention to turn to him.
A rogue spirit has taken refuge in her body.
A spirit?
How? We felt no such.
It's a child, Diana.
A mere child? What kind of child has that much anger and sadness that they can control a human body?
My lady, if I may.
Everyone in the room, myself included, looked to Sarah, who had stepped forward by Diana's side. Diana took a moment to watch Sarah measuring his intentions before nodding and stepping back. Sarah stepped once more in my direction before bringing his spear up and pointing at me. Whoa!
What are you doing?
Calm down there, dude. Without answering, Sarah continued to stare at me intensely. The spear in his hand began to glow a bright gold and white color, making me feel that much more concerned.
Sanctus et husexiamentes!
Before anyone could jump at Sarah, the guard leaned forward, merely an inch toward me, pressing the spear closer to my body. However, it was stopped by a bright white magic barrier to suddenly form around my body and the sound of a child screaming. The cry ran violently in my head.
Princess!
Erik reached for me, but found himself pressing against the shield as well, unable to get close to me. The sharp tip of Sarah's spear pressed against the barrier, causing white ripples to wave from it. Sarah pushed the spear harder, trying to pierce through. The spirit screaming, however, intensified in my head with each push.
What in the seven hells?
I've never seen magic like that before.
I can hear it. The spirit is crying inside her head. It's hurting her.
Damn it!
Sarah finally pulled back and stepped away from me. The glow around the spear vanished and Sarah looked to Diana. Screaming in my mind stopped at last and the barrier finally vanished, allowing Erik to wrap his arms around me and pull me close to him.
This spirit is extremely powerful, my lady. Powerful enough to block holy magic.
That's impossible.
I quivered in Erik's embrace, feeling the after effects of the sudden event hit on my body like a wave. My nerves were vibrating and every hair on my body was on edge. My eyes, despite this, looked to Diana and Sarah.
Clever spirit.
Clever spirit? What do you mean?
Look at who the spirit is haunting. She's practically bleeding endless waves of energy. The spirit must be consuming it to survive and use its abilities.
The entire room looked to me and I could see in their eyes that she was right. Was I really that full of energy? What kind? How did the amount of energy I had affect this?
The spirit is a demon, then?
Only a demon could make a barrier like that.
But a barrier against holy magic?
It's unheard of.
Not necessarily. If a demon is powerful enough, they can block holy magic, but it takes a large amount of energy.
We have to find another way to expel it. If holy magic won't work, something else will. Spirits can't bind themselves to living bodies forever.
Yeah. We'll get this spirit out one way or another.
Would we? The spirit was powerful enough to fight back against holy magic, which apparently was powerful on its own. I became nervous once again. Erik, feeling me tense up in his arms, gave my body a small squeeze and comfort. I closed my eyes, feeling this warmth slowly but surely calming me down.
Whatever the case may be, I'm sure we've at least weakened it. It shouldn't attempt to control you again, at least for today.
Thank you. Diana ran a hand through her hair and looked around the room, pressing her lips into a fine line.
So, about all of you participating in the war, you all obviously need to train.
Then she looked to me.
Most of all.
And I'm like, you what?
Apparently, there are guidelines to breaking this curse. Not only do we have to kill the demon lord, but you have to be nearby when it happens for the curse to even break.
That makes no sense.
Shadow. He spent the night trying to find alternative ways to break your curse. Unfortunately, we didn't find anything of the sort, but we found the guidelines to breaking it. Even while it doesn't, it's still better to be safe than sorry. I don't want to kill him and then still have you stuck here because of an error. Anyway, we can't have you dying on the way there, and we can't monitor you when we're in battle. You should at least know how to defend yourself. That's why we've come up with a solution.
So basically, she's going to tell me to pick someone to train with, and I've been picking someone different for each one of the routes. And so I'm just going to pick the next person I
Each
haven't
of the
done
leaders
yet.
is proficient. Sergeant Shadow is Rabbit Faye.
So let's see. I chose Shadow already. I think I chose Sarah. I think for this one I'll choose Faye.
Finish eating. Afterwards, you should start training.
Everyone in the room nodded their affirmations. Diana and Sarah left.
Well, it looks like we'll be busy for the next couple of days.
This'll be fun.
Man, training's gonna suck.
It'll be worth it, though.
Damien's right.
After we all finished eating, everyone left to either train or do things on their own. I left to start my own work, determined to be prepared for what was to come. The Demon Lord wasn't going to win. I wouldn't let him. Okay guys, I'm gonna stop it here so that next time we can start on the training. If you like this video, go ahead and leave a like. If you want to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe. And I hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.